Hi, Pisces. Welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for December of 2020. This month's career themes that you're going to see popping up as we begin to talk about it can be best addressed in a mission orders reading, and you'll find a link for that in the YouTube description below. So we've got Mercury, Venus, and Mars activity. There's also an eclipse happening this month and some very interesting stuff that Jupiter and Saturn are up to. Hey, Julia, what is up for the Pisces of the world?
Well, hey Pisces. So I'll start with Mercury, the planet of communication, also the planet that represents our mind. So at the very, very beginning of the month, on December 1st, Mercury is going to pop into your 10th house of career. Now, when Mercury moves through this house, it could be a time that you are spending a lot of time thinking about your career, being strategic with career. Perhaps if you're looking for a new career, it's a great time to sort of refresh your resume. And also, if you do anything Mercury related at your job, such as teaching, speaking, buying, selling, working with technical stuff, then it can be a fruitful period as well. Now, Venus, the planet of art, beauty, and relationships, begins the month in your 9th house. This is the house of expansion. It's a very adventurous house. It also has a lot to do with travel. So, maybe you have an opportunity to kind of go visit a national park or kind of expand your horizons through some local travel if you can. And if you're single, then when Venus comes into the 9th house, you could kind of be attracted to somebody who comes from a very different background than you. Could be somebody who comes from a different country, a different ethnicity, a different religion than what you were brought up with. Then on December 15th, Venus is going to join Mercury in that 10th house. And this is a wonderful, wonderful time because the 10th house represents authority figures for getting along well with the authority figures in your life. So if you have a boss, if you have a teacher, if you have a parent, or you have to, talk to a judge or a police officer, then this is going to be a wonderful time to sort of kiss up to authority figures and have them gain your favor. Now, Mars, the planet of action and activity, is in Aries all month, and it's been in Aries for a while because it just finished up a whole retrograde cycle in the sign. And all of this Mars activity has been happening in your 2nd house. That's the house of values. That's the house of your possessions, things you own, like a car, a computer, your maybe a record player, those types of things. It's also the house of income too. So Mars tends to bring frustrations. It tends to bring flare-ups. So for the past few months, you've been dealing with a lot of frustrations over the stuff you own. Maybe there have been breakdowns in your car, all these car payments that just kind of creeped up on you. Maybe feeling like you can't quite expand your business and increase your income as well. That can be another frustration. Mars also tends to bring kind of a combative energy. So you could be having fights over money, or even fights over your personal values, whether they're religious, whether they're political, whether they're your family values too. The good news is that Mars is going to finally leave this house, after the month, and it's going to be a whole new fresh start afterwards.
Yeah, thank goodness. I'm really looking forward to Mars moving on from all this. So there's another reason why we're starting to get that sensation of a fresh start, and that's because you see this big pile of planets here in Capricorn. They've been traveling along through Capricorn throughout 2020, giving 2020 this heavy feel, this feeling of oppression, which mostly has been tied to the pandemic hot degree, and that, ta-da, is about to expire. It happens when Saturn, right here, leaves Capricorn for Aquarius, and that is happening on December 16th. The mood is going to shift dramatically because Capricorn has that heavy, weighty, judgy feeling to it, whereas Aquarius has a more light, bright, and change-making appearance, sort of a feel to it. So as Saturn moves into Aquarius, it enters into your 12th house, and it's going to be there for about 2.5 years. And so you might start to feel a sense of responsibility that's kind of globalized, that seems like it's not attached to any one particular thing, but that it is sort of like atomized out into the very air that you breathe. And if you do feel that way, it's probably because you're feeling Saturn in Aquarius is pressure to figure out what is your ideology of life, who is your tribe that you belong with, and what can you do, what action can you take to support that tribe in moving forward its social agenda. So Saturn will make us take responsibility for ourselves as social creatures. Now, a few days after Saturn leaves Capricorn for Aquarius, Jupiter does the same thing. Right here it is in the very end of Capricorn, and then on the 19th, it pops out of Capricorn into Aquarius and will meet up with Saturn this month in a conjunction that will really set the tone for 2021. So this is the light at the end of the tunnel. We've finally arrived, and Jupiter in Aquarius is going to have two effects, one for the world, one for you. The effect for the world is that Jupiter in Aquarius is going to make us a lot more social. It's probably going to bring an increase to the phenomenon of social movements. We'll see a lot more activity of groups, a lot more development and expansion on various groups and demographics, ideologies. But in your case, it moves into your 12th house, which is a great place that Jupiter loves to be, because this is the house of spirit. And Jupiter brings, the 12th house's thing is to take whatever's inside it and sort of put it into a bottle and atomize it out into the air, turn it into a kind of a mist or a fog where you can't point to anything in specific. It's just kind of saturating the atmosphere. And when Jupiter saturates the atmosphere, it brings you this wonderful sort of globalized feeling of hope and optimism and positivity. And it really lets you feel that your angels are with you, looking over you and supporting you. And that's a wonderful feeling. And it'll go on for pretty much the year. Now, other things I wanted to mention include the new season, which is the sun moving into the sign of Capricorn, which is your 11th house. And this again brings up those themes of social responsibility. Capricorn being a sign of responsibility, and the 11th house being a social house. And Capricorn season is often a time when we kind of want to be strong, be tough, pull together, and gather around the tribal fires. And I think that you're probably particularly going to feel that way as the sun moves through your 11th house and puts the spotlight on your social life. Now, there are two moons to talk about this month, and the first one is actually an eclipse, and it's right here, the sun and the moon together in Sagittarius in your 10th house. We have a name for this one. It's worldview, beliefs, and resilience, because Sagittarius is about all of those things. And an eclipse makes us look at our shadow. This particular eclipse falls in your 10th house. And a solar eclipse often results not just in an internal experience, but an actually externalized experience. So in other words, behavior. So here's the takeaway. Beware of bad behavior, which is triggered by some shadow material that you have inside you that you've never fully processed. And beware of that bad behavior showing up in your career where everybody can see it. So beware of that around the 14th. This particular moon offers a choice between being opinionated and being tolerant. So there's a watchword right there. At the end of the month, on December 29th, we have the second of this month's moons. And it is a full moon falling in the sign of Cancer, opposite the sun, of course, because that's the nature of a full moon. It is an opposition between the sun and moon. And because this falls in the axis of Cancer and Capricorn, it's going to force us to find a sense of balance between the side of us that's soft and emotional and childlike, represented by the moon, and the side of us that is the tough, mature, grown-up. And so we're going to be looking for striking that work-life balance, but also for you, this falls in the 5th and 11th houses. And so it's going to bring up themes of self versus the group. And your moon in Cancer might want to kick up a tantrum that is in support of your own individual will, but the sun in Capricorn will be demanding that you take responsibility for the group's reaction, and your position in the group. We're calling this moon balancing, healing, and taking action because Chiron is involved in the sign of Aries. And you can find out more about it in our December 2020 news playlist. Well, that's what we have for you today, Pisces. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. We love making these horoscopes for you. And if you enjoyed it, please do like, share, and subscribe. You can find more horoscopes like this one on our website, pandoraastrology.com. Just look in the navigation bar for horoscopes, and there you will also find readings and services that we do, and classes as well. And until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.